The voters in Sri Lanka have spoken. Marxist-leaning Anura Kumara Dissanayake is their new president. The 55-year-old led in vote counting as soon as the polls closed, knocking out incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe and opposition leader Sajid Premadasa. Dissanayake campaigned on a pledge to battle corruption and revive a fragile economy. Sri Lanka is still reeling from its worst financial crisis in decades. It was the first time in the nation's history that presidential vote counting went to a second round after the top two candidates failed to win more than 50% of the votes to be declared winner. And for more, we are joined by Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, a senior fellow and executive director of South Asia Foresight Network at Millennium Project. Asanga, thank you very much for joining us. Firstly, just tell us how significant was the rejection of the political establishment in this election, and what did it tell you about the electorate sentiments regarding economic recovery and corruption?
It is definitely a significant message that the people of Sri Lanka has given to the old guard, basically the traditional two parties that was ruling the country from its independence. And this is the first time, like you rightly mentioned, that a third party has come in, a Marxist Leninist party, JVP, which has the background of two insurrections in 1970s as well as in 1980s. Is in power now. So it is a historical election for the Sri Lankan people. Clearly, they have sent two clear messages. One is that they want a new beginning. They want to see, they have trusted one individual to do these reforms. They have seen the Marxist Party as a reformist party now. So those are the clear two messages. As you know, Sri Lanka's 2022 People's Uprising. We had poor economic conditions, the dysfunctional government, and corruption. So anti-corruption was their main theme, and they have managed to win the large, masses of the population on these three areas, and sort of, trust them on their policies. So, which is a huge, I think, achievement for a third party in Sri Lanka to come to power. And Sri Lankan people has also shown that the incumbent president, they have moved to the third place. So that's again first time.
All right. So Asanga, a lot of faith, as you mentioned, and AKD is pledged to bolster a fragile economic recovery. But just how optimistic are you that under the new leadership and economic management, that the people of Sri Lanka will be happier? I mean, can he indeed balance austerity with his campaign promises to reduce taxes and support the poor?
Well, what you had was a government of Wickremesinghe, as you know, the incumbent president, who managed to reduce the inflation to single digit. The significant stability that he brought in with the IMF package, the debt restructuring. Can he sustain this? What he says, Anura Kumara, is that he is ready to sort of sustain that as well as go beyond and negotiate with the IMF for a better sort of deal to the Sri Lankan people. As you know, there's a lot of economic hardship in Sri Lanka. So I'm not sort of that optimistic because of its Marxist background of the party, because they are first time, it's an experiment in place, actually, bringing in all these reforms. They have never done public-private partnership. They have not engaged in liberal market economy. It is the first time. What they did was, in their election campaign, they managed so well to sort of bring in that public anger which had on the 22 uprising, the economic deprivation, as a political tool, channeling frustration to undermine the establishment and seize, power, which the Marxists do. But they did it very well through social media and all that. So can they sustain what's happening, the stability achieved by the incumbent government? I'm not so optimistic of that.
Okay. And also, Dissanayake campaigned on anti-corruption promises. How feasible is it for a leader from a historically fringe party to dismantle very deep-rooted political corruption? What sort of specific measures is likely to be prioritized?
Well, he has mentioned about independent institutions like the Corruption Bribery Commission, which is a good thing. And we never had an independent bribery commission. There was a lot of political interference time to time. So those are the positive things actually in government that he's trying to, he said he's going to introduce. People are very optimistic about those things because corruption was a huge issue, which the IMF governance diagnostic has highlighted it multiple times in their report. There are 16 recommendations which he needs to sort of, work with the government to improve the governance process in Sri Lanka. So, which is, to strengthen transparency as well as bring in more democratic values to the country. So I could look at it in a very positive way, whatever he has said, but we need to see how he sort of actually delivers these things in the months to come, and how he sort of, this is the first time again, because we have not seen them. He had 3% last time in the election in the parliament, so he had only 3%. So this is the first time. It's a huge shift from 3 to, to become the president of this of Sri Lanka. So it's yet to sort of see how he would deliver his promises.
Yeah, indeed. It will come down to whether he will be able to deliver his pledges. But given the high expectations voters have placed on Dissanayake, what could be the implications of unmet promises, and especially considering Sri Lanka's history of protests and political volatility?
No, definitely. He has to understand the challenges that the country is going through. He has taken a dysfunctional, after 2022, it was a dysfunctional government. Basically, it was a hybrid government with the Rajapaksas as well as the Vikramasinghes. So he would need to sort of navigate all these challenges, the 83 billion staggering debt, the local as well as the foreign debt, as well as the debt restructuring, the challenges he has. So he would need to bring in more sort of, people with expertise, as well as, basically, rather than sort of, going into his party of the Marxist Party for all the answers. So actually, a more sort of a collective job is necessary, is required right now. So even in the opposition, Sri Lanka, next would be the parliament elections following this. So there, I think a more collective job is required because of the challenges that the country is facing right now.
All right, Asanga, thank you very much for your insight this morning. Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, Senior Fellow and Executive Director of South Asia Foresight Network at the Millennium Project.